And we're here again for our weekly City of Waupaca community update as we find out what's going on with the city and school. We've got Aaron Jensen with the City of Waupaca and Ron Sari from the Waupaca School District. Welcome.
Hey.
Thanks, Josh.
Morning.
And we're past Memorial Day. It's starting to feel like summer, and that signals the end of the school year. And we're honoring our seniors a little bit different this year. And for those of you in the downtown Waupaca area, you notice senior banners being hung by the light posts. Aaron, you want to tell us about that project?
Yeah, so if you're coming down to the downtown area, you will see it looks a little different. Today, our street crews have assisted in a parent group that is organized, basically getting these senior banners done to really honor the seniors. Obviously, the seniors this year had a different senior year than they were anticipating, with not being able to be in school the last part, with not being able to be in their sports or their activities or their music. So I thought it was a cool thing that the parents decided to put a lot of effort into trying to get it in front of every student possible, to give them the option to get a banner hung. I know that they were in contact with the school, have been in contact with us over the last month and a half, and it's kind of all culminating today with our street crew putting up some of those banners, and you'll see those over the next three or so weeks. Yeah, I think it's going to be a cool thing. Actually, just kind of looking out my window here, it gives a sense of community pride, and it's a neat thing. So I give those parents credit, and it's cool for the seniors, and we're happy to be a part of it.
And Ron, another thing honoring our seniors is the annual tradition of the senior parade, and that's being done a little bit different this year. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, because, the safer at home order still applies to schools. We're not allowed to have anybody on grounds from the time it went into effect through June 30th. So the seniors tradition has always been going from building to building on a little parade. And the teachers and staff took it upon themselves this year to do a virtual parade for the seniors. And so that was released this morning. Pretty excited about that. And just a reminder, the graduation ceremony will be this Sunday. It's historic because it's our first ever virtual graduation ceremony. And Sunday, it'll be live streamed at 2:00.
And as we speak about, the seniors not being able to be in the building or the students not being in the building, that leads to another topic, what's going on right now with the various public facilities. And anyone who's been paying attention to the County Post just saw a recent article talking about the school grounds being closed, whether it's maybe being used for a game of tennis or the playground or other activities. What's the latest as far as use of the school grounds go? Are staff allowed to be there? Are they not? What about the public? What's going on, Ron?
Yeah, that's a great question. We received some complaints from community members saying, hey, people shouldn't be playing tennis. People shouldn't be here and there on the grounds. And so after the Wisconsin Supreme Court overturned Act 28, which was the Safer at Home order, they overturned everything except for the part that dealt with K-12 schools. So actually, according to the law, that order from the Department of Health and Human Services still applies to public schools through June 30th. And we're not allowed to have the public or any kind of teaching and learning activities taking place anywhere in a building that the school owns or the grounds as well. So we put up some signs then. We consulted with law enforcement, and law enforcement said that putting up signs that these areas are closed, we're meeting our due diligence in regards to how to move forward with that. At the same time, we're very sympathetic because, sometimes being out in the sun, it could be a good, healthy thing. And there may be families that would like to, they live together and they want to go play tennis or something, which I don't think would have been a violation of the Safer at Home order. But because the K-12 piece is still in place, we can't do that. So we don't have enough time to go around policing it. Everybody's got jobs that we're doing. So, going around to all of the buildings, the 4 different buildings and all the different school grounds and the forest that we have, we can't really police it, but we did put those signs up so that people are aware that our grounds are closed at this point until June 30th.
And speaking about grounds, the city I know is having discussions on what it's going to look like short term to maybe reopen some facilities. If you want to clue us in what's going on with that, Aaron.
Yeah, Josh. So as you know, you were a part of a conversation we had on Tuesday, right after Memorial Day. Department heads got together with Mayor Smith, and we just discussed an outline that we put together kind of in a three-phase type approach as we work our way through June and into July. And we anticipate bringing something forward at the June 2nd council meeting that would basically outline a plan to open our facilities in a safe manner to the public. And that includes City Hall, library, rec center. And I would anticipate, as we talk about that in City Council and as City Council adopts some version of that, that could be seen on our city website, Facebook page. We'll try to get that word out there right away the morning of June 3rd, because right now I think part of that proposal will be we'll bring it to the June 2nd council meeting, and that phase 1 would go into effect immediately on June 3rd. So that's coming up in the next week or less. So.
All right. And let's jump back and talk about the schools some more. We're kind of sitting at the point where the next school year starts in give or take 3 months. And that's a nice period of time. But on the other scheme of things, we know how fast summer flies by. And I know you're working to put together a reentry of school committee starting very soon to discuss what options the school may have. And you're kind of were told to look at 3 different options as you head toward the fall semester. So what's the latest on what may be coming our way this fall?
Yeah, we're planning 3 different scenarios. The first would be we're able to come back 100%, like all in face-to-face teaching. The second would be we have to do virtual like we are doing right now. And then the third would be a hybrid of the two, some sort of blended learning type of situation where part of the kids are in on some days and the other part of the kids are getting some virtual instruction on the off days. This, like you said, this committee is going to be meeting probably 2 to 3 times a week, starting June 8th right through till the beginning of August. That's our goal. That's what we're hoping for. We started a committee similar to this once this COVID thing hit in March. And the only difference is going to be we're going to grow the committee and we're going to get some teacher stakeholders and aides as stakeholders, parents as well. And it'll be a commitment. And I imagine I'll be giving updates every week to you on the progress that we're making as we move forward. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to work through. And part of it is, when the CDC comes out with their guidance and recommendation, it's usually on an extreme end. And what we're being counseled on right now is think of safety as a spectrum. And you have one end where it's very, very conservative. And in some cases, the CDC would like everybody to be locked down and not leave the house type of a thing. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where some stakeholders are saying, well, we're not worried at all of COVID and we just want it to be like pre-COVID. Well, neither of those 2 spectrums are the direction that we're going to go. Someplace in between is what we have to decide as a community of how do we want to do it in Waupaca. And our understanding is the state is leaving it up to all of the individual districts to come to these types of conclusions. Now, we're not going to do it in isolation just with our immediate stakeholders. We're also going to, be communicating and collaborating with our area districts and our county officials and the state officials as well. But the interesting thing will be the little bit of variations that take place around the state because of the different circumstances that exist at different places in the state. And that's why we're being told that whatever the recommendations that the state gives, they're allowing for some variation in circumstances.
And I know you mentioned you're going to be looking to do a survey of like the parents and the students to help guide that. What kind of timeline do you have for this? I mean, we've got 3 months till the new school year, and a lot can change in both directions in those 3 months. Are you hoping to have something figured out sooner? Or are you going to wait till a bit closer to the school year to feel out how things are?
We're going to move quick,
Okay.
Josh. We feel right now time is burning. So we're going to start with that first meeting on June 8th. Tomorrow, we're having a conversation with that virtual learning team that we've already created, which is pretty much composed of all of the principals and some of the other coordinators and directors in the district. And we're going to start having an initial conversation. The following week, identifying all of the other stakeholders that we want to invite that would be committed to wanting to help us work through this process. And then beginning Monday, June 8th, and 3 days every week, pretty much until August 3rd. We'd really like to have some things firmed up for August 3rd, the beginning of that month. We anticipate starting school in September like we normally do the day after Memorial Day weekend. So that's the plan, but we're going to need a lot of input.
Well, I wish you luck as you work on this plan, and it sounds like it's not going to be enforced so much from the state this time, and I think that's probably good and bad in both ways. But I think this is going to be another thing, kind of like discussing the graduation, trying to find that right middle ground. And good luck with that process. And I know through what you've done, you'll keep the community informed and involved on this, and hopefully make a decision that really benefits our community. So it's good to hear that that's progressing.
Thanks, Josh. The safety of the students is really the primary goal and objective, and how to do that in a reasonable way that doesn't compromise their safety. And it's been said, every time you get out of bed in the morning, you're taking risks. When you get into your vehicle to go to the grocery store or to go to work, you're taking a certain level of risk. So what are the levels of risk that, as far as gathering again in the fall to provide education to our students, what are the reasonable ones, what's unreasonable? And that's what we'll work through. And there's going to be people that aren't going to like whatever we do. But at the same time, we know that there are some people, for a variety of reasons, may not be able to come back. Some of our students may not be able to come back into our building if they have underlying health conditions. And we're going to need to work with them to help provide a virtual option for those individuals.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tricky one, and we can probably all imagine, because we've been going through this a few months, just how many different things there are going to be to consider with all of this. Just a lot of little things that are going to come up. Absolutely.
Yeah, just initially we've got pages and pages of what ifs. So it's going through each what if one at a time.
It might take you more than 3 months to get through all that, and you're trying to get done in 2, so good luck.
Yeah, I guess my summer vacation is going to be gone.
Yeah. Let's jump back to Air and Rock the Block. It was an event that was that took place in Waupaca. I think kind of unbeknownst to most of us, they were going to be looking for volunteers to help make improvements around the community with private property owners. And because of COVID, that took shape a whole different way, and it's been going on. Fill us in on that project.
It has, yeah. Thanks, Josh. So take us back a little bit. We've been talking about housing on these updates, Josh, for the last, I don't know, it seems like 2 to 3 weeks. What we've been talking about is we've been talking about new multifamily housing units. We've been talking about new single-family housing developments and how that may look over the next couple of years here. But equally as important to those is the continued improvement on our current housing stock when we're talking about housing within any community. And, we certainly can't take credit for the effort that took place, because this was organized by individuals within the community that want to see the community always improving. There was tons of donation dollars that went into bringing the Rock the Block effort run through Habitat Through Humanity to Waupaca. And I believe there was just under like 29 or 30 homes. The applications went out, got accepted. So 30 homes, give or take, got improved throughout this process. They were going to do it. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So they were going to do it in early May with a bunch of volunteers. Obviously, that couldn't work out. So what they did, I just got an update about a week and a half ago from the director over there at Habitat for Humanity. They went forward with their staff and they just pounded out a bunch of projects. And he said then that they'd be done in a couple weeks. Well, so that means probably anytime between now and the end of this week. So they're just wrapping that up. He was going to be getting me a map to show kind of where all the improvements took place. I certainly plan on sharing that with our city council, elected officials. But that's just exciting. And it's just another great thing that's happening here in Waupaca due to people that truly want to make our area better. And I just think, I can't say enough about that. We're lucky to be talking about this kind of stuff as much as we are. Last week it was grant writers. This week it's the Rock the Block, and we just thank everyone for all that support.
Not to digest too far from our conversation, but we've been talking about the housing, some of the promising signs coming up with housing locally. I just saw a story on the news this morning that because of COVID and because of how congested cities are and how much it's spreading, that there's some thought out there that there are some people that may want to move further out from cities to more rural or suburb areas. And maybe we're not quite in that part of the state where that makes as much sense, but maybe that brings some people over from the valley or the Point area to maybe be somewhere a little more rural down the road. Maybe that's another aspect of the whole housing here. But something interesting I saw in the news as we talk about housing here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, Ron and I have been talking quite a bit about a strategy to get people to move here, to help all of us, our tax bases, our student enrollment numbers, our businesses. And through this whole thing, that's something we've been reading, that can small communities or smaller communities take advantage of the fact that people may want to move out of those more densely populated areas. And it'll be interesting to see how we could take advantage of that and how we can kind of set that message and get it out there. We think that we have as good of a spot to move as any, if you're looking to get into a little less populated area. So, we think we have a lot to offer, and I think there will, without a doubt, be more conversations about how we can take advantage of maybe that thought from some people.
And then closing up our conversation today, speaking of making the community a better place and maybe more attractive for people to live here or do business here, next year is the big year for the Main Street Reconstruction Project, and there's one more public input meeting coming up.
Yeah. So we have a public input meeting set for next Wednesday, June 3rd at noon, and that will be run mainly by our Public Works Director, Justin Behrens, who does a phenomenal job with those meetings. This is our public information meeting number 4 through the process. This one will be done a little differently than our other ones. Last time we had about 45 people in the basement of City Hall that showed up. This one that we're going to do, Justin and I are going to run it from our conference room right next to me here. We're going to broadcast it on Facebook Live, and people will have the opportunity to comment. I'll be kind of moderating the meeting and making sure all appropriate questions get answered. Justin will be running through the current update, which will be, we're getting the 90% plan complete and sent to us this week. So we'll be going through some of that. And then a couple other things, I know there's been some questions that have come up as far as, are we still on schedule due to the COVID? And the answer is yes, we are. I'll touch on that during the meeting. But Josh, I think you're going to be posting a link on our website and possibly our Facebook page where people can log on and kind of see that presentation at noon on Wednesday, June 3rd.
Yeah, if you go to the city Facebook page at noon on that day, there'll be a live video on there. And, just like the council meetings, we get some comments on there when a council meeting or another meeting's broadcast live. And it's a good tool, especially if those comments are being monitored in lieu of being in person to convey the same aspect for that meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll be a good way. It'll be a good way to do it. Again, a new way to do something, but we've gotten this far, so we'll keep plugging away.
Well, lots going on in our community. A lot of progression as far as what things are going to be open or closed, or discussions for the future going on, and we'll talk again next week and see where things are at.
Sounds good, Judge. Thank you.
Thank
Ron,
you.
Aaron, thanks for joining us again.
Take care.